It was a time when World War II was raging on. A Jewish family was worried about the head of their family because he went to fight against the Nazis. More than 6 million Jews were killed in the war. Eventually, the war ended up and the men returned to home after winning the war. The spirit of victory is still alive in this family. A man from the same family who is fighting against the world's largest country with second most powerful military and nuclear power, he has almost brought them to knees. We are talking about the President of Ukraine, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky was born to Jewish parents in the Kryvyi, southern Ukraine. When he was a small child, his family relocated to Edinet, Mongolia for 4 years. He grew up as a native Russian speaker, but he also acquired fluency in both Ukrainian and English. In 1995, he entered Kryvyi's local campus of Kyiv National Economic University, and in 2000 he graduated with a law degree. Although Zelensky was licensed to practice law, his career was already headed in a different direction. While still a student, he had become active in theatre, and this would become his primary focus. In 1997, his performance group Quartal 95 appeared in the televised finals of Kyiv, a popular improvisational comedy competition that was broadcast throughout the Commonwealth of Independent States. Zelensky and Quartal 95 became regulars on Kyiv, and they appeared on the program until 2003. That year, Zelensky co-founded Studio Quartal 95, a production company that would become one of Ukraine's most successful and prolific entertainment studios. Zelensky served as artistic director of Studio Quartal 95 until 2011, when he was named general producer of the Ukrainian television channel Inter TV. Zelensky in 2012 concluded a joint production agreement with the Ukrainian network 1+1. That network was owned by Ihor Kolomoisky, one of the wealthiest people in Ukraine. In addition to working in television during this period, Zelensky appeared in a number of feature films, including the historical farce Love in the Big City and the romantic comedies 8 First Dates and 8 New Dates. In 2014, the government of Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych was toppled after months of popular protests. And in May that year, billionaire Petro Poroshenko was elected President of Ukraine, with a Russian-backed insurgency raging in eastern Ukraine and endemic corruption undermining public confidence in government. It was against this backdrop that Servant of the People premiered on 1+1. In October 2015, Zelensky was cast as high school history teacher in his 30s, who is unexpectedly elected President of Ukraine after a viral video filmed by one of his students shows him making a profane rant against government corruption in his country. The show was a massive hit and should provide something of a roadmap for Zelensky to the presidency of Ukraine. In anticipation of that move, in 2018, Quartal 95 officially registered Servant of the People as a political party in Ukraine. It seemed likely that the 2019 presidential election would be a repeat of the 2014 contest. Instead, more than 36 candidates entered the race, and Zelensky emerged as one of the front runners, virtually from the moment of the declaration of his candidacy. Zelensky issued detailed policy statements and press conferences in favor of short speeches or comedy routines posted to YouTube and Instagram. On March 31, 2019, Zelensky won over 30% of the vote in the first round of the presidential election, and Poroshenko finished a distant second with 16%. On April 21, Zelensky was elected President of Ukraine with an impressive 73% of the vote. On May 20, 2019, Zelensky was sworn in as president. He used his inaugural address, which he delivered in a mix of Russian and Ukrainian, to call for national unity. In late 2021, Russia began a massive buildup of troops and military equipment along its border with Ukraine. On February 21, 2022, Putin announced that he would recognize the independence of the self-proclaimed People's Republics of Donetsk and Luhansk and dispatched peacekeepers to both regions. Western leaders responded by leveling a new round of sanctions, and in the early morning hours of February 24, Zelensky delivered a televised plea for peace directly to the Russian people. Shortly thereafter, at about 6 a.m. Moscow time, Putin announced the beginning of a special military operation, and Russian cruise missiles began to rain down on targets in Ukraine. The unprovoked attack drew condemnation from leaders around the world, and Zelensky tried to rally support from the international community. Russian troops and armored vehicles poured into Ukraine from Russia, Russian-occupied Crimea and Belarus. When the United States offered to evacuate him from the combat zone, Zelensky reportedly said, "The fight is here, I need ammunition, not a right." He delivered video addresses to governments around the world, calling upon them to provide Ukraine with military aid and to limit Russia's ability to wage an offensive war through whatever means possible. Zelensky's efforts were largely successful. Although NATO balked at enforcing a no-fly zone over Ukraine, such an act would have been tantamount to a declaration of war against Russia. Western countries flooded Ukraine with anti-tank weapons and surface-to-air missile systems. In addition, the sanctions that were leveled against Russia were among the most severe in history, and the Russian economy reeled as a result.